let's start now. This is a very important concept. Biodiversity is one of the most important things in ecology, in ecosystems. Biodiversity is very, very important in the ecosystem. If the ecosystem, if there is a biodiversity in the ecosystem, so this ecosystem is considered good or healthy. What does this word mean? Inshallah, we will see this, inshallah, in lesson 3. What is the meaning of biodiversity? Why is it important? And what are the things that affect biodiversity? Okay, the word biodiversity, as you see, is made up of two words. Look, we can separate it into two parts, bio and diversity. Simply to understand this word, the word bio means living things. Okay? Bio mean living things, plants, animals, whatever. Diversity, when you describe that something is diverse, that means it's a variety of things, variety of different things. Type, suppose that or imagine that you go to a grocery or to a mall or a supermarket. If there are a lot of different things in this supermarket, so you can say that there is a diversity. But if you go to another supermarket that have a few things or a few items, so it's not diverse. The same things for ecosystems. Some ecosystems are made up of only some ecosystems made up of few species of plants.
أستاذ
طيب
أحمد سعد يقول لك إن تليفونه ما في سماعات يخربه.
طب موجود أحمد سعادة؟
هو موجود بس مش قادر يسمعك هو بيحكي.
مش مشكلة. طيب some ecosystems are made up of few species. So these species are not, they have a low biodiversity. Okay? But if we go to another ecosystem that is made up of many different species or many different species. So this ecosystem has a high biodiversity. Right. Let's take an example. For example, here, suppose that this is an ecosystem and this is another ecosystem. For example, suppose that we have only 5 species of different plants and animals in this ecosystem. If we go to another ecosystem, we have, for example, 20 different species of plants and animals. Okay? For example, we have different types of trees, different types of animals, tigers, lions, zebras, elephants. But here we have a few species of plants. This ecosystem has a high biodiversity, or we can say that it is biodiverse. While here, the biodiversity is low. Look at the picture or this image in your book. Look at this ecosystem. Here, as you see here, you can find a lot of species of animals and plants, or many types of plants. So this ecosystem is healthy or good. It has a high biodiversity. While if there are few trees or few plants and other organisms, so the biodiversity is not high in this ecosystem. But let's start. I hope that this introduction is good for you. Type Earth, as you know, is filled with what? Sorry?
water.
Earth is filled with ecosystems, many different ecosystems. By the way, wherever you go on Earth, wherever you go, there are ecosystems. Ecosystems are found everywhere. Some ecosystems are very large, like the oceans. Other ecosystems are very small. Did you know that we can consider the area under the rock? Under the rock is an ecosystem. So ecosystems are found in any part of Earth. Our school can be considered an ecosystem. So Earth is filled with many different ecosystems that provide habitats for each and every organism. As you know, habitats or these ecosystems provide a habitat or places or homes for many organisms. But some organisms live in one ecosystem in their entire lives. For example, the polar bear cannot survive in hot areas or in warm areas. Polar bear just live in polar areas. Type. But other organisms are born in one ecosystem and migrate or travel to another. Many, like birds, many types of birds, for example, born in one ecosystem and migrate or travel to another ecosystems. Now, healthy ecosystems or good ecosystems, we consider the ecosystem healthy that have a biodiversity. If the ecosystem have a biodiversity, this system is considered healthy or good. What is biodiversity? It is the number and variety of different species in an area. So when you talk about biodiversity, you must put in mind two important things. Two important things determine if this ecosystem is biodiverse or not: the number of species and variety. For example, so in biodiversity, you have to put two things important to determine the biodiversity of any ecosystem. Biodiversity. Two things determine the biodiversity. The number, we must have large number of species, either plants or large numbers of plants of species, either plants or animals. Okay, this first thing, and the variety, or they must be different. Fine. Suppose we have two ecosystems. Look at this example. Suppose that we have an ecosystem that made up of just three types or three species of organisms. Suppose the first ecosystem is made up of only 3 species of organisms. Okay? And another ecosystem that made up of 10 species. Which one of them is more diverse, or which one of them has biodiversity? Can anyone answer?
Yeah, teacher.
Okay.
The 10 species.
Yes, of course, that's right. Also, let's take another example. Suppose that we have an ecosystem made up of 1,000 for example, zebras and 200 trees of the same type. Okay, the other ecosystem is made up of 200 zebras. Okay, 100 trees, 40 elephants, for example, 50 lions, 50 giraffes, for example. Which one of them is more diverse?
The second,
Yes,
with
of
two,
course. Why?
because it has more organisms.
Yes, the variety. It depends also on the variety. Here, yes, we have 1,000 zebras, but we just have 2 species. But here we have a variety of species. So this ecosystem is more diverse or have biodiversity, while this species, this type of ecosystem is not, there is no biodiversity in it. Type. Let's compare between 2 ecosystems, the polar ecosystem, okay, and the rainforest ecosystem. Type. Which one of them do you expect to have more biodiversity? Which one of them is more diverse? Which ecosystem is more diverse? Can anyone answer? What do you expect? Which has more biodiversity, the polar ecosystem or the rainforest ecosystem? طيب, I will help you. Which has more plants? ما حدا بيقدر يحكي؟ ولا أنا عامل لكم ميوت؟
Rainforest.
Okay, Munya.
Rainforest.
Yes, the rainforest, of course, because there are a lot of species and a lot of different species. So when you are talking about ecosystems or biodiversity, sorry, you have to take 2 things in consideration: the number and variety, both of them. Okay, the number alone is not enough, and the variety is alone is not enough. Type. Healthy ecosystems or good ecosystems are also provide the opportunity for different species to interact. Type. This is often essential for their survival, such as predator finding prey. Type. Okay. Changes in an ecosystem affect the species in that ecosystem. How? Changes in an ecosystem affect the species in that ecosystem. They are usually linked to available resources. Suppose that there are disasters or fires or hurricanes or whatever. If the ecosystem is changed, this will affect the species that live in that ecosystem. How? Because they are linked to available resources. If the resources are no longer available, the species that live in that ecosystem will change. Biodiversity increases as, please highlight this, it's very important. Biodiversity increases as what? More resources are available. In another word, ecosystems with more resources are more biodiverse. Ecosystems with low resources are less biodiverse because organisms will not find enough food, so they will either die or migrate or travel or leave this ecosystem. So biodiversity is linked or affected by the ecosystem, changes in an ecosystem. Biodiversity depends on the resources. More resources means more biodiversity. It decreases when fewer resources are available. So it's very simple to summarize this, or it's very simple to understand this relationship. More resources means what? More biodiversity. Less resources means what? Less biodiversity. Or you can say that the more resources available in the ecosystem, the biodiversity increases. Less resources means the biodiversity decreases. We mean by resources, again, I want to remind you that resources include food, water, shelter, space, whatever. Okay? طيب انتوا معي ولا كيف؟ Is it clear؟
Yes.
طيب اوكي.
أستاذ رجع الهايلايت فعلت تحت.
طيب biodiversity increases as more resources are available, more food, more water, more species will live. Of course, people, can you live, for example, in a city or in a town where there are no, for example, no restaurants, no groceries, no services? Of
No,
course.
I can't.
You prefer to live in a town or a city with more services. The same thing for species, for animals, for plants. When there are a lot, or when there is a lot of resources, of course, species will stay in this ecosystem and they will grow and reproduce. But if there is little resources, there is little water, there is little food, the biodiversity will decreases, or fewer, the biodiversity decreases when fewer resources are available. Is it clear? طيب. When biodiversity changes, it impacts ecosystem processes. Of course, as I told you, that biodiversity, high biodiversity, or when the biodiversity increases, this ecosystem is good or healthy. But if the biodiversity decreases, of course, the ecosystem processes or interactions between organisms will affect it. This impact or this effect may affect the health of an ecosystem. Okay, this will affect the health of an ecosystem. طيب. Biodiversity also has both economic, of course, and ecological value. It's important. It gives us, biodiversity has economic and ecological value. Why? It provides humans a biodiverse ecosystem, give us many plants, give us many animals. So it will finally, it will be good in economic, okay? And it has also ecological value. طيب. Healthy health value. Healthy ecosystems such as that in figure 1, this figure, it is considered healthy because it has a high biodiversity, okay? In this ecosystem, as you see, look at this figure, there are difference of plants. Notice, look, grasses, trees, different types of trees. Look at this lake. Inside this lake or this pond, there are a lot of organisms that live there. You can find fish, other type frogs, insects, other types of organisms, and of course, there are many birds in this ecosystem. So this ecosystem is healthy because the biodiversity here is high. طيب. So biodiversity has both economic and ecological value. طيب. Because healthy ecosystems or more biodiverse ecosystem provide us with resources and materials that we use. You can, for example, find wood. We can examples of resources. Okay. A group, healthy ecosystems can give us services or materials such as food, fuel. Okay? Ecosystems or healthy ecosystem can provide us with food, fuel, medicines, fibers. Okay? So biodiversity is important. This is an economic and ecological value. It provides us with services, materials, food. What you can think many types of food. You can find food like plants, fish, other animals, fuel like wood, medicines. Many plants can be used as medicines. Okay? طيب. Also fibers. طيب. In general, this paragraph or this page is talking about the value of biodiversity. Biodiversity is important because it has an economic and ecological value. What is the economic value? Let's talk about the economic value of the biodiversity. Humans use ecosystems for our own profit. We can get profit or money from ecosystems. There is value in using ecosystems to fulfill our basic needs and wants. So many things we can get from ecosystems. This economic value for ecosystems, we can fulfill our basic needs and wants. The products, okay, we take from ecosystems have economic value, such as providing what? A household income. So when we talk about the economic value of ecosystems or of biodiversity, we mean by it the products we take from ecosystems. The products we take from ecosystem have economic value, such as providing household income, money. People can profit from healthy ecosystem both directly or indirectly. So we can benefit from ecosystems either directly or indirectly. How? Resources that are consumed from an ecosystem provide a direct value. Okay? Anything that you can consume, any resource or resources that are consumed from an ecosystem provide a direct value. For example, let's take an example, crops. What are crops? This is anything when you grow, for example, any type of plants. When you grow any type of plants in a land, this is called a crop. For example, this is a crop type. Crops is, again, the crops you see in figure 2 are direct value. because we can eat it or we can sell it. The farmer used the land and grew the crops so that she can feed her family. If you grow, for example, an apple trees on a land, these apple trees are called the crop. Okay? The farmer, okay, again, the farmer in this figure, in this image or in this figure, she's growing a crop or she grew a crop. So this is a direct value because it feeds, or sorry, she feeds her family. She can feed her family from this crop. And also she can make a profit on their sale. When she sells these fruits or these plants, she can get money. So this is a direct value. In addition to food, food is not the only thing that we can get from ecosystems. We can get medicines. As you know, many types of plants can be used as a medicine. And also raw materials. Raw materials provide resources. And what are raw materials? Can anyone tell me what is a raw material? Are you sleeping?
What?
What is a raw material? طيب, I will explain it for you. Do you remember petroleum? Do you remember petroleum? ما حدا عارفه؟
Yes.
Or oil? طيب. Petroleum or oil is a raw material. Why? Because you can't use it. You can not use it what? Directly. Any material that you can't use it directly is called raw material. People convert petroleum in refineries into gasoline, diesel, and other fuels. So gasoline is used as a fuel in cars or vehicles. You can't use petroleum directly. You can't put petroleum directly in your car because it will not work. So petroleum is a raw material. You can change it to other materials that can be usable. Is it clear? طيب. So
Yes.
we can get from ecosystems many things, like we can use it directly for food. We can get income from their sale. Also, we can get medicines and raw materials. Okay. Unfortunately, our demand or our needs for certain organisms and resources can harm biodiversity. This is a very big problem. People need resources from ecosystem, but when people get these resources, they destroy or damage the biodiversity. Okay? When you kill or for example, when we cut trees from forests, if we overcut the trees, if we cut more and more trees, this will affect the biodiversity. If we kill animals to get resources or to get materials from these animals, it will affect the biodiversity. By the way, many animals die out or extinct because of human activities or because of a human use of the ecosystems. The overuse or the bad use of humans, of ecosystems by humans, the bad use can damage the biodiversity or can harm the biodiversity and ecosystems. Humans can use too many resources at once. As a result, many ecosystems do not have time to recover and are damaged. So one of the most important factors that can damage biodiversity, humans can damage biodiversity or ecosystems because we need resources. We need a lot of plants, we need a lot of animals, and we use these resources too much. This will affect the biodiversity. Why? Because ecosystems no longer can recover. They do not have enough time to recover and are damaged. Inshallah, we will continue tomorrow. Uh, Thank you for listening. Goodbye.
Bye.